Dynasty, Nigeria, 5 seconds. Recording started.
Hello, this is the product of Beverly Nation. This is Know Your Rights, and I'm your host, Terra Strength. On air now from Lagos, Nigeria. Please call in 605-562-0444. Press pin number 7414519 pound. £1 to listen, *2 to join the conversation. This is brought to you by Looking Glass Entertainment. And before I begin, I would like to thank Brother Oladelli and the One Dynasty family for giving me the opportunity to share my story and my perspective. The topic today is spirituality, a new perspective, regression therapy, a closer look. We have an interview with someone this evening, Miss Stephanie Stevenson, one of the listeners. It's going to be really exciting topic tonight for us to get into. Please call in again, once again, family. Living hell is the state of running from the inner fire of our unwanted emotions, looking for escape routes, only to discover that every escape route is in fact a dead end. The only way out is in. And that was written by Till Swan. Before we get started this evening, I just want to talk a second about, I'm sure everyone has heard out there in family land about the death of one of our own, the legend Kobe Bryant. I just want to say, family, I was extremely upset about the passing of him and his beautiful daughter, Gianna. I'm just in shock. I'm sure a lot of you are in shock. I remember when Kobe started in the league at the age of 17. I watched him grow up. I watched him go through challenges. I watched him become a champion 5 times over. And I watched him to evolve into a great husband, a great father, and a great mentor to many. And he was an inspiration to all. And it's just very, very sad right now. It hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm sure it hit a lot of you out there. He's one of my favorite players. And it was too young. And you know, here on the Brother Strength Show, we try to take a spiritual spin on what's going on. I'm just glad he was there with his daughter together. They both went home together, but it's a loss for us right now. So if you don't mind, family, just take a moment of silence, just to take a moment of silence for Kobe's family and all those that knew him closely, and just have a moment of silence for him. Okay, thank you. All right, so let's get started. We have a very exciting evening. I'm looking forward to this. Interview. We talked in a couple sessions ago. I talked about regression therapy. We had Dr. Nadine Rothschild Sullivan on, and she spoke at length about regression therapy and what it means. And I just want to go over a little bit, just to remind us about what this process is and why it's important. Remember, I was saying that it was one of the tools that we can use down here to help us to navigate this realm. And so, very briefly, just to give everyone a quick refresher on what it is. Regression therapy. Putting a person in a semi-conscious state and tapping into the past lives of the person. The benefits are, it helps you to overcome irrational fears. You understand and eliminate problems, relationship patterns. It helps you to find solutions to current problems and situations. It helps to heal the emotional pain of past trauma. helps to overcome bad habits that have been resistant to prior change efforts, and helps to eliminate emotional blocks. So that's basically what regression therapy is, just to give a quick refresher on that and everything. So without much ado, and I'm extremely excited to have her on, Miss Stephanie Stevenson. She's on here. I think she's actually gone through the process, and it has been life-changing for her, to say the least. So I talked to her, and she didn't mind coming on and talking to Beverly Nation. And I'm glad she did. This is infinitely very personal, but she was willing to share some information about her experience with us. So I hope if any of you out there if you have any questions, or you've been thinking about the session we had weeks ago when Dr. Rosechild came on here and spoke about it, please call in. Again, call in 605-562-0444. Press pin number 7414519#. £1 to listen, *2 to join the conversation. So please give us a call in. All right. So I want to introduce Miss Stephanie Stevenson. Miss Stevenson, how are you doing this evening?
I'm fine, Mr. Strength. Thank you very much for having me on your show. It's a pleasure to be here with you, and an honor to be able to bring my story before your audience.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you see it that way. Yeah, I'm glad you are on here to share with us. So let's get into it. So I want to ask you, what made you decide to go through this process? Like, what was the inspiration? I mean, I know you heard Dr. Nadine talk, but what made you actually decide to do it?
Well, I had learned about regression therapy from friends who had experienced it themselves, and had the opportunity to hear their stories very in depth, and not only hear their stories, but also learn about the impact that it had had on their awareness of themselves. And that was very revealing to me. And because I've always had, since I was young, interest in spirituality, psychic phenomenon, and actually had the opportunity to have some readings done in my past. I had a reading done through a Sarah Set at one point in my life. I had a reading done through a Yoruba priestess at one point. I even had, like I said, a tarot reading with someone. Then I actually also had the opportunity to sit with a psychic. And one of the things that I had never done was regression therapy. So when I heard about it, it really piqued my curiosity, and especially to understand just how much impact it can have in your understanding of who you are, who you've been in past lives. I was totally intrigued. So when I listened to your show, it really gave me an avenue to go ahead on and try this and see what impact it can have on my life and on me. And one of the reasons why I was so curious after talking with friends, hearing your show, was because I also was seeking deeper understanding and insight into who I am and why I am the way that I am, why I have certain proclivities, in my personality and just in my background. So that's what inspired me. Your show had a lot to do with it because it gave me a tool, it gave me a resource to actually go ahead on and pursue that interest and that curiosity. So thank you. You had a lot to do with it.
All right. Well, thank you. Well, outstanding. Well, there you have it. Beverly Nation.
And I want to say, I want to encourage your listeners, to also take advantage of that resource, Dr. Nadine. She's great, and she's just a phone call away.
Okay, well that leads me to my next question. What was it like working with Dr. Sullivan?
Dr. Nadine, she is a consummate professional, first of all. She is very, very intelligent. I found her to be very intelligent, very wise, very experienced, and just very knowledgeable and educated.
Okay.
She's a professional. But the whole experience was exactly what is called regression therapy. It was regression. I was regressed, and I received some therapy from her. So not only did she put me under and give me the opportunity to look within myself, but she helped me unpack a lot of what I experienced and help me understand what I was looking at and how it related to my life. She gave me the opportunity to talk about a lot of other things that were happening. You know, it wasn't just that moment of hypnosis and looking into a past life, but it was also getting to know me, getting to know some of my background, getting to know some of the issues that I'm dealing with and have been dealing with in my life, my childhood. You know, it was very revelatory and very helpful on several levels.
Okay.
Actually.
Wow. Okay. Great. That's great. Okay. So I want to ask you. So what was the process, and how did it get started? Like, how did she start it?
So we didn't jump into it right away. As I said, we took some time in the beginning just to talk, you know, and she explained to me more about regression therapy and how it works. So I wasn't going in blind. You know, she told me what I should do, what I might expect, what she would do, and how the experience would actually feel being under. She was very reassuring in that way. And so we talked first, and she set the mood very well. You know, the room was very quiet, very personal, it smelled good. It just felt good. And she established a rapport with me.
So the room smelled good.
It smelled good.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, that's important, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Every sense was activated in a positive way.
Okay. Okay.
She gave me the option to sit however I wanted to be comfortable. I chose to lay down on her nice, comfortable couch.
Okay.
And we just started relaxing. She started relaxing me, dealing with my breath.
Okay.
So
you went through a breathing exercise.
Yes, as if I was going into a meditation.
Okay.
So we did that first, and then.
So were you totally under, or were you aware of your surroundings, or were you totally under? You didn't have any idea, or?
Well, no, I was aware.
Okay.
I was still aware of my surroundings, but I was just so relaxed and so focused.
Okay.
I think that's the main thing. It was like a needlepoint focus on my thoughts, and she helped me to kind of reel my thoughts in. Even though I was still conscious and I could hear her voice, I think I wasn't really paying any attention to what was happening around me. It was just focused in on my breathing and then her guidance into seeing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Wow. Okay. Well, this is a moment of truth. You know, I know I've been wanting to know. Okay. So, what did Dr. Let me see now. Let me see how I'm going to hash these questions. What did you see, Stephanie?
Well, it started out when I finally got to the place where I could see, because at first I couldn't see anything. It was dark at first. And when I could see, I saw like I was inside of somebody's head looking down in front of me. And all I saw was, what I was first aware of was a pair of slippers, what I was wearing. Slippers and pajama pants as of a child. And I was looking down, looked like into a basement, or could have been just the staircase in front of me looking down. I don't know if it was a basement or just the next level down from whatever floor I was on. And it was dark, and I was afraid to go down. Dr. Nadine tried to get me to go down to see what was there, but I hesitated and I couldn't go down those steps. But what I did see where I was, on the floor that I was on, was a room full of beds, small beds, as if for children, and as if it almost resembled a shelter, where you have a lot of people laying on beds in one room. And so that's what I saw initially. And through the process, Dr. Nadine was asking me questions as I talked to her and told her what I was seeing. She asked me what was I seeing. She gave me cues to look around.
Yeah,
and
that's
see.
good, because that was my next question. What was she doing while you were under?
Right.
Like, was she helping to guide you, or
Exactly.
what was she doing
Right.
while you were under?
Yeah, she was asking me questions, and I was answering her, and then she would ask me other things to get me to look further and to see more details. So I was able to, and then she asked me what I thought I was looking at to help understand what it was, to analyze what it was. And what I felt, what I saw was that I was in an orphanage. I was around a lot of other children. But throughout my whole regression, I didn't see faces. I didn't see faces. I could just feel the presence of other people. I could feel the scenarios that I was in. And I saw clothing. I saw indications of a period. So she continued to walk me through and ask me questions. She sent me back. So she wanted me to try and figure out how I got to that orphanage. So we went back, and that's what she does. She asks you to go back. She'll tell you to go forward, however many years. She asks you to look around and see what you see. So we went back trying to figure out how I had gotten to the orphanage. And so what I got was that I had been left. I didn't know my parents. I didn't have any knowledge of them. It was as if I had just gotten left at a very young age. I was around, I think I told her I was around 9 years old. And when I went back to where I was before I got to the orphanage, I could see inside of what looked like a saloon, a bar, so to speak. But it was old. It was an old bar. It wasn't current. And I saw a woman in there because the doors were open. Periodically, as people went in and out, I could see and get glimpses of inside. And I saw a woman at the counter in her period clothing, serving drinks, and the room was full of people sitting at tables, but they were mostly men. And then she helped me move forward to try to get me to identify people, but I never saw faces. I could feel the presence of people. I felt myself in the presence of a man in a coach, a horse-drawn coach that was taking me somewhere. And that, I believe, was how I got to the orphanage. So from there, she moved me forward. She really asked me a lot of questions trying to figure out, who this man was, but I really could not figure that out.
What year was it? Were you able to see what year?
Right.
What year was it?
Right. So we moved forward into this person's life. And eventually I saw myself, in a business, in an establishment where I was the center of this establishment. There were people coming in and out that I was interacting with, and they were coming to me for knowledge about their money. They were bringing me their money. I was taking care of their money, showing them what to do with their money, and then giving it back to them. And she asked me to look around and see what I could see. Like she said, look at the calendar. And I looked and I saw that it was the year. She asked me what year it was. I said it was 1862.
Wow. And
she had me look around at a piece of mail to see if I could figure out where I was. And I told her I was in Wisconsin. So this was like in the Old West, pioneering times. And I was a woman in a very unusual position for that time period. I had a lot of knowledge, and I was in a position to have influence. So of course we moved further forward, and she asked, I got to the point where I was, before we moved forward though, just feeling the situation in this business, this woman was very knowledgeable, she was very accomplished, but she was alone. We didn't see any family, we didn't see any husband, we didn't see any children. She was like, almost like a modern day woman who's got it all going on, but she couldn't put the icing on the cake, so to speak.
She couldn't get the family part together,
Yeah.
huh? And the husband and the kids together.
So that was quite significant because all the way through, Dr. Nadine was still asking me questions, and she kept asking me how things felt. So So it felt very alone. She felt very alone.
Yeah, because that was my next question.
Yeah.
You know what? Before you go into that, let me just take a quick break before you go into that.
Okay.
Just want to, again, please call in, family, 605-562-0444. Press pin number 7414519. Pound, £1 to listen, star 2 to join the conversation. Call in, family. If you have any questions for me or Miss Stevenson, give us a call. Give us your thoughts about her particular regression therapy, or if you're just curious about the practice in the first place, give us a call in, or just call in and make some comments about what you're listening to. All right. So you were just talking about. Hello? Okay. So you were just talking about how you felt doing the regression. So what was the general? So it sounds like you're in Wisconsin in 1862, and you were an orphan at first.
Right.
You felt like you were abandoned by your parents. You couldn't really see any faces, but you could feel people around you, and then you eventually grew into a person who had influence as a woman,
Right.
which back at that time.
Highly unusual.
Highly unusual at that time,
Right.
but you did, and so that's interesting. So talk a little bit more about how you felt doing.
Yeah, so the overwhelming sensation, and this is the most interesting part about it, because at first I wanted to liken the whole experience to a dream, the not a deep dream state, but almost like being in a dream where you're about to come. I don't know if you've ever experienced this. I have. When I'm about to come out of a dream and it becomes so real that I can feel what's happening, and I can feel this. I can feel things while I was going through this process. I felt loneliness. I felt sadness, and it was so intensely sad that I was crying during the whole thing. I mean, there were tears coming out of my eyes as I told this story that I was witnessing. It was like watching a movie that was stirring me to tears, and I could just feel this woman's experience. She was extremely alone in her life, and it was a sad state for her. So
Wow.
Dr. Nadine had me move forward and look at the end of this woman's life. And so what I saw was that as she had gotten to a point where she was not able to take care of herself, she had become extremely obese, and
Really?
she progressively lost the ability to move. And when she was dying, she was being taken care of by other people, and she was paralyzed. She couldn't move her lower limbs, and she died alone in this state in a facility where she was being taken care of. And again, it was just complete sadness, And I remember going through the regression, I felt like I could not move, but I started spinning. It was crazy. I don't know what the spinning was about, but
Really?
it was over, and it was an overwhelming feeling of just spinning. And at that point, I think Dr. Nadine saw that I was going through something, some discomfort, and so she started bringing me back out of the hypnotic state, and I wasn't coming back quickly. It was like there was a hold on me, and I was spinning, and I couldn't stop. And finally, she had me, open my eyes, and I opened my eyes, and it stopped. But the sensations were still there. The feeling of sadness, it was all still with me. So.
Wow. Okay. Well, you know what? Let's take a break right there. This is very, very intense, Brother O. If we can take that break right now, if you can hear me. Before we get going, I think we have a caller in the queue. Caller, are you there? Hello?
Yes, indeed, I am. How you doing?
Brother Huni Bakatum. How are you doing this evening, sir? The Magic Man.
I'm doing excellent. Just happy to be able to listen to your show, and you keep growing. And I wanted to make a special, thank you for the subject matter that you keep bringing us every other week. And honor to your special guest. You know, a lot of times when people go under many different forms, their ability to be able to recall is very unique. And I'm sitting here listening, and Ashley, she's actually painting a perfect picture, a crystal clear picture for my mind's eye, and I'm quite sure as well as the listening audience. So I definitely want to say thank you so
amazing.
much
It's
to your
amazing.
special honored guest.
Yes.
I also want to say one more thing to you, sir. You already know this is coming. Congratulations, Terrence Spence, on your O&E syndication station, All Time Connection record.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Wow.
This is your 12th all time, and this is actually our story and his story. This is your 11th consecutive, the greatest all time for a new host. Now look at that. This
Wow.
is the greatest consecutive streak. I'm very, very proud of you.
Thank you.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank
Keep
you. I'm
raising the
honored.
bar, and thank you so much for being a part of O&E Dynasty.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thanks for calling in. Thank you. All right, so that was Brother the Magic Man. All right, so we want to get back with Miss Stevenson. So when we close out the last section, you were talking about gaining weight. That you saw yourself becoming. I think you said you became paralyzed, and you gained weight. So can you talk more about that? It's pretty powerful. I mean, I know it makes you pretty emotional seeing how she progressed in that lifetime, and you were just saying that you were very sad, that you started just crying and crying because you were looking at this woman's life who presumably was yours.
Yeah. And, you know, it's interesting because there were not, well, I guess it may sound like it was a lot of details from the retelling that I'm giving you right now. But as far as I was concerned, there were not a great amount of details in terms of what I could see. But that sadness was just an overwhelming sensation that
Right.
I felt as I was viewing this. Like almost as if I was there feeling her.
Right.
You know, and her sadness and her loneliness and her seriousness, you know, and I don't know that it was loneliness for sure, but it was aloneness. That was what I was so aware of how alone she was. And it was sad. And her seriousness, you know, she just seemed like a person who had just done what she had to do to make it, to get by in her life. And there was not a whole lot else going on.
And you know what, that time, you know, you talking about 1862, that's like, I guess around near the Wild Wild West times, that's what life was like at that time.
Yeah.
You know,
I know of it.
It was, from what I've seen and from what I've heard, I guess we've seen in history or whatever, that's what it was like. But this is your regression.
Yeah, rough times.
Yes. I mean, what do you say to critics or people out there who are skeptical about this and say it was just a bad dream, or, you know, this can't be true? How would you respond to that?
Well, you know, it's funny you ask because I tend to be a doubting Thomas myself, even though, you know, I realized going in that I had to suspend doubt to be able to even go through this process, you know. To allow myself to get into that state, I had to suspend doubt and really just allow myself to be able to conceive of this as a process, as something real. So I did that, but I'll tell you the truth. I did go and look up. You know, I Googled.
Did you really?
I Googled regression therapy, and I Googled it from the perspective of the naysayers, you know, because I was curious to see how this is viewed in the field of, you know, psychotherapy and
right,
and it was
mixed
negative.
Bag. It was
Yeah,
a mixed bag. Yeah.
So, you know, I had to suspend that doubt and just allow myself to go through it. And what I experienced was real to me.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, first of all, I'd never been hypnotized before. I'd seen, you know, plenty of, you know, representations of that in
magic
the media.
magic shows and things like
know,
that. Right.
It was not what I expected at all. And my regression was not what I expected at all. You know, like I said, I talked to my friends and their stories to me were so interesting and almost, you know, like, yeah, that's you. That fits with who you are. You know, mine when I was like, wow, I guess I imagined something so much more romantic. Like maybe I was going to be a queen or a princess or something in the past life. But I didn't see that coming, what I saw. But being in that state, it was very real to me. I was very aware. It was what Dr. Nadine had prepared me for. And because I felt it so intensely, as if I was there and as if I could feel the emotions in this woman's life, it had great significance for me. And in fact, her life, bore some significance for my own life.
Okay, so that's leading to my next question. I'm going to get to that because I want you to talk about that a little bit, if you don't mind.
Okay.
I understand that this is highly personal, and this is some cutting edge stuff that we're showing here on Beverly Nation. This is cutting edge. People don't talk about this stuff, but again, family, this is one of the tools of many tools that we can use to gain more knowledge of self. This is absolutely, I would consider this esoteric, okay? But it is definitely a powerful tool to understand who you are and why we do certain things and what we're here to figure out and learn. It is a powerful tool to do that. So I'm glad Miss Stevenson is on here to share her experience. I would encourage many others to give Dr. Sullivan a call. This is all part of this can be part of our progression. All right, so before you get to that part, I'm going to ask you that question. I just want to know, what was it like to be under hypnosis? Like, I mean,
Yeah, I was like I said, I was aware of my surroundings, but I was just very focused, and my mind was totally focused on what I was seeing. I could hear Dr. Nadine.
Could you hear outside, like cars going by?
I wasn't aware of any of that.
You wasn't aware of that?
I wasn't aware of that, but I was aware of being
her.
in that room.
You was aware of being in the room?
Yes, but like I said,
so you wasn't that under. You was like an in-between state, we call it?
I guess you could say that. All I know is that there was just an extreme focus for me, and that all I was seeing was what was in this movie, for lack of better words. And I could hear Dr. Nadine. I could feel my body. I don't remember hearing any sounds around me because I was so laser focused on what I was seeing in my vision. Okay, so
you were saying that you gained a lot of weight, and then you ended up being paralyzed.
Yeah.
You couldn't move.
Right.
Okay. Were you able to see how you passed on?
She just passed. She just left. She was laying there. She couldn't move, and it's like she just slipped away, almost as if they were waiting. She was expecting to die. She must have been sick, or, and they were.
And could you feel that? Could you feel her dying, or
no,
you just the
no,
sadness?
I just felt the sadness and the aloneness. And that it wasn't a pleasant life. It was not a pleasant life.
And that wasn't what you expected to see.
No.
In your progression.
No, it wasn't glamorous at all. In fact, Dr. Nadine, and this is what I mean in terms of what role she served in terms of the therapy, and we talked about it afterwards, and she helped me realize some things about the story, looking at it in terms of the time frame, the time period that it occurred in, and looking at this woman for what she had accomplished, and it was unusual. So, she assured me that I shouldn't minimize this woman's story, that it wasn't all negative, that there's something positive, a positive takeaway for me, that this woman was accomplished, and so yeah, that was useful, but yeah. I was able to see myself through this scenario.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me ask you. So how is this regression relevant to you in this lifetime? Or what do you think? Like, how is this relevant to you? Now, listen, I know this is highly personal, okay?
Yeah.
And you don't have to say anything that you don't want to say. I would appreciate if you could share some things with the family about how this kind of relates to you. Whatever you want to share,
Yeah.
It's fine. I understand the sensitive nature of this and how personal this is. And again, I want to really thank you for coming on here and sharing this with us, because I know this is highly personal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, like I said in the beginning, the reason why I wanted to do this in the first place was because I was interested in understanding myself more, and certain proclivities that I had, certain things that I have experienced in my life and that have been recurring and have had an impact on me and my relationships. And so, you know, having done a lot of work already on these things, you know, having a therapist, and like I said, having readings done, doing all kinds of personal reading into psychology, and the fact that I seem to have been an orphan in a past life, you know, had a great deal of significance and really illuminated a lot for me personally, as far as my childhood and my relationship with my parents in this lifetime, and the residual effects of that, and the feelings, the emotional condition that some of that has left me in. It was parallel. It was a parallel situation for me in the lifetime that I looked at in my regression. You know, the sense of abandonment, and you know, if you do any reading about child psychology and, you know, abandonment issues and the insecurity that can result in, the lack of confidence, you know, those are things that I have been dealing with on a personal level. So that sensation was not new to me.
Really?
It was just seeing it in another incarnation, yeah. You know, and then looking at her life in general, especially towards the end, and seeing that, you know, how she died, and, you know, the obesity and the paralysis. You know, of course, I had to go and look up all of those things.
Right.
You know, and, you know, paralysis has to do, from what I read, with an unwillingness to face things that you need to deal with in a particular lifetime. You know,
wow.
and self-created limitations, you know, and so it's been very illuminating for me, you know, without going into too much.
Well, it's very illuminating for us.
Yeah.
Just listening to it, like, this is incredible.
One of the questions that Dr. Nadine asked me while I was still under, towards the end, was, what do I have to do to keep this from being my life again? And
that was my next question, actually.
Okay.
You know, what do you think you need to accomplish in this present lifetime to not have that? And so she actually did ask you that.
Yeah. She asked me that while I was under, and my response, which I remember keenly, was, I have to keep moving. I said, I just have to keep moving. And, you know, I really looked at that and tried to figure out why I said that. But, you know, this lady was paralyzed at the end of her life, and that so does not fit with who I am. You know, movement for me is highly significant in my life, and I can't imagine not being able to move. You know, I'm getting older. I have some issues with my hips. So I'm very big on exercising and staying mobile so that those things, you know, arthritis and things like that don't become issues for me. Obesity doesn't become issues for me. And to see this person who was me like that at the end of her life was terrifying. You know, so yeah, I got to keep moving, and not only in the sense of, you know, actual physical movement, but also just moving in the direction that I've been moving in spiritually and psychologically. So
Fantastic.
that I face those issues, I face those insecurities, I face the confidence issues, and I work on that, you know, and I keep doing moving in the direction that I'm moving in to build myself and get on stable ground emotionally.
So it sounds like, so the result of you seeing your past life is making you even more involved in this lifetime to make sure you don't go out like
That's
that.
right.
And to make sure you deal with what you need to be working on in this lifetime.
Absolutely. It was confirmation of all of that. And another thing, you know, that I saw and that I deal with is, as I said, it was very sad for me to witness that aloneness for her, you know, and dealing with issues like that in my own life as a woman, you know, and not being married, you know, and relationship issues, that is something that I know I have to deal with. Friends having good friends, that's something that an area of my life that I've neglected. And seeing her, the end of her life, and her being so alone, that was, like I said, very terrifying for me. So it's also a warning, like a sentinel. I don't know if that's the right word, but just a warning bell for me that I have to break down the walls and the barriers that I have created, my own self-created limitations, to build, relationships, being able to make real connections and lasting connections, and so that's a process that I have to embark on very consciously, so that I don't end up
the same
way.
That is a powerful tool of finding out who you were and what we're all supposed to be working on in this lifetime,
and what you can learn from being regressed. I mean,
it's amazing because it comes from you.
Yep.
This is all you.
It was. Dr. Nadine didn't tell me what I saw. She asked me what I saw, and this is what I saw. And it was just there for me to see. I was in a state where I could see, and I wasn't making it up, is what came to me as I looked. And I really believe in what I saw. It was very germane. It was very authentic for me. Now, people can say whatever they want to say about my psychological state. That's on them. But I really believe in what I saw, and it had an impact on me. It was very significant.
Now, you mentioned something to me before about, you said you got dizzy, was spinning.
Yeah,
you didn't know what was going on with that one?
No.
You weren't dying with that? Or you don't know?
I don't know. Dr. Nadine and I did not get to the root of that. I think it was very interesting. I really would like to understand more about that. So, who knows, maybe more will be revealed. I do intend on going back to her.
So you're going to see her shortly, I heard, right?
Yep, I have another
session with her
coming up soon.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I want to congratulate you on your courage. I mean, obviously, to even do something like this and not knowing what to expect and everything takes a lot of courage. I'm extremely excited to have you on the show and to help those who are listening to this show and thinking about doing this, to encourage them to be courageous about this, to have the courage to go ahead and get this done and see what this is about. Because there are tools down here, family, for us to know. Okay, there are tools down here so that we can know what's going on. I just want to thank you for your courage, and I want to thank you for sharing with us on this show. I want to thank you very much.
Thank you for having
me.
And
I wish you all the success with your progression. And please, listen, if you want to come back after you meet her again, you let Tara Strength know.
I'd like to hear some other people's stories.
Well, we're gonna have some more, okay. maybe Ngozi, you know what I'm saying? Maybe Brother O. All right, I think it's Ngozi time now. Brother O, are you there?
Yes, indeed. First of all, I want to thank Stephanie for sharing her heart tonight. I really appreciate you always being a supporter of Terrace and his outstanding historic streak. The first O&D host in history to hit 11, the Jerry Petito Show at 10 o'clock Eastern, right here on these stations, on these Dynasty. And, of course, Devin Nation is advertising to O&E, which is Ola Devin Goes Enterprise. You reach, of course, at www.lookingglassentertainment.wordpress.com, as well as Ngozi Primetime on at Devin.com. We're Ngozi Time both for Twitter and Instagram. Ola Devin Goes at Pinterest and Google+. Ola Devin Goes at Facebook, as well as our business page, Know Your Right, as well as the historic Beverly Nation Online Radio. Any comments, suggestions to our wonderful programming tonight? That goes for mine@gmail.com. I am your mother and father's favorite producer, Ola Devin Ngozi. Saying good night to all the folks out there in Armed Force Radio that support us on a constant basis tonight. Mr. Tara Strength, please continue. You have 3 minutes and 72. Well, oh my God, 72 seconds. 3 minutes and 2 seconds.
Okay, thanks for the 2 seconds. Okay. All right, so I just want to say, family, again, I want to thank everyone for listening to this show. This is cutting edge stuff here, and I hope you guys have learned something. I know I did. I know I've learned a lot. I want to thank Miss Stevenson for sharing her soul with us tonight and to encourage us as to why this is an insane process to go through in terms of knowing why we're here and what we're supposed to be taking care of. I mean, it's like putting on 3D glasses. So please call Dr. Sullivan, schedule your appointments, and find out what your last life was. I'm sure it will give you a lot of clues into this one and what you can do about it. So I look forward to seeing you guys in 2 weeks. Please contact me. You can contact me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and even on YouTube. This video will be up. And please subscribe on YouTube. Thank you. I love you all. Go tell somebody you love them, and I'll see you in 2 weeks. And that's all I have to say. Brother Strength, out.
Your line has been disconnected by the monitor. Goodbye.